And we are live with my good friend Gogo, and we are going to hear this amazing story from this amazing woman who I've had the privilege of working with and becoming friends with, and I cannot wait for everyone to hear this story. Gogo, you ready?
Yes.
All right.
Here's the big question.
How are agents like us,
who didn't get an opportunity to invest in a franchise early,
who are spending time and money to sell homes,
building someone else's saleable asset?
How do we grow a business but still build wealth?
Have an exit strategy,
and get a piece of the pie that's not dependent
on us working more hours and every weekend?
That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answer.
My name is Jay Kinder.
My name is Al Stasek.
And I'm Michael Reese. We are your hosts, and welcome to the One Big Fire podcast.
I'm working.
Yes. The queen of content. Gogo, thank you for coming aboard.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
I literally was just on another Zoom right prior to this. One of our agents out in California was doing an interview with me, and your name came up.
Oh.
And the question that he asked me was, like, I don't know if he said who inspires you, or I think he's like, what inspires you? And I said immediately, it's watching agents that are part of our organization just thrive and crush things like at higher levels than I've ever done, you know? And just watching that is inspirational. And I said, well, when I'm done with this, I'm going to be on with arguably the most inspirational woman I know. And there's a lot of people that are watching this that have not heard your story. And so we both have one thing in common other than the fact that we're both, growing our businesses with EXP, but we're both Hungarian.
Yep.
But your Hungarian roots go back a little bit further. Can you tell people who don't know who Gogo, I can't believe no one knows who you are, but those who don't, tell us about your story coming to America.
So my real name is Gyöngyvér. That's why they call me Gogo, because nobody can pronounce Gyöngyvér. So it's an old Hungarian name, very common at home. My parents clearly didn't know that I'm going to live in the US, so I got a good old Hungarian name. So originally I'm from Transylvania, Romania. I'm Hungarian by nationality, so that's the one thing we have in common. Well, many things we have in common with Abby, but that's, when it comes to genes. And then I always felt like I don't really belong there. Like my whole family's there, my mom, sister, everybody, mom and dad, everybody. I always felt like I'll oddball out a little bit. I always dreamed big and just wanted that big life. Then I don't think it's doable in Transylvania. And so when I was 21, I came to the US as an au pair, live-in nanny. That was pretty much the only way at the time you could come on a visa from Romania. So I did that, and I met my husband right away. And so this is 2003. 2 months later, I moved in. 2 months after that, we were married. But not until 2011 then I got licensed in real estate. So by that time, we had 2 boys, and I was a stay-at-home mom. I did all kinds of odd jobs in between. And I did the whole good old corporate America thing and climbed the ladder. And then I left that, had 2 babies. And then I was actually serving at a restaurant. And I also realized it's not for me. It is not for me. I remember one night we were folding silverware in the restaurant, and I was sitting at a table of probably 5 of us. And between the 5 people, I was the only one with a driver's license. And they were like, "What? You have your driver's license? That's so cool." Yeah. And I was like, wow, like having a driver's license, that's cool, because 4 of you have DUIs. Like, I was like, that's the wrong crowd. Like, that's not going to be hanging, no offense. So I left from there and got licensed. Actually, wasn't my idea to get into real estate. My neighbor is the marketing director for a local title company. So she thought I'm so social, and I did Facebook all the time because that's how I keep in touch with my people at home. So I was always very active on Facebook. And so that's how it started. She recommended me. I went and talked to the brokerage she recommended me to, and they paid for my license. They said, if I pass it, they'll pay for it. I did right away. They paid for it. So my investment as by far is zero into getting into real estate. And I kept it at zero. I'm very against marketing costs and buying leads and, all of those things. Initially, because I was broke and I couldn't afford it. And now it's because it's in my blood. It's my religion of, if there's a free way, I'm going to figure it out. And so initially started out being broke, not being able to afford anything that the top producers were doing to get to where they were at. I'm also a student of life. Like, I don't like not understanding things. So I will knock on your door and say, hey, Albie, there's a reason why you're a top producer. What do you do? And then I go to the next top producer. I'm like, there's a reason why everybody knows your name. What do you do? And I would interview all of them of like, how did you get to where you at? And I am that annoying 3-year-old, a lot of why, but why? And so very quickly, I figured out all of the things that we're doing, the door knocking, the cold calling, the buying leads, the Zillows, the Trulias, the farming areas, all of those things. And I was like, I'm not doing any of that. And I can't afford most of that. And if I was willing to do it, I couldn't afford it. And if there were just certain things, and I am not begging anyone for their business. And that's cold calling for me, or door knocking for me. I'm like, oh, hell no, you're lucky you get to work with me. I always had that attitude, even when I never sold them this.
Can I stop you for 1 second, Gogo? If anybody's watching this right now, and you have you're talking to yourself every day, and that voice in your head is telling you that, oh, I can't do it, but what if I fail? Listen to this lady right here, because what's your excuse? She came here with no money, not only no money, but you didn't know anybody. So talk about not having a network to tap into. When we get into real estate, one of the first things they tell you to do is, send out your cards to your friends, your family, anyone you would invite to a wedding or whatever. And you came here 20 years old and didn't have family.
I didn't have anyone at my wedding on my side. Like, that's how much I don't have people on this continent. I didn't have anyone at my wedding from my side, only my husband's side. So no, I had no sphere. I have no college friends and cousins that going to buy houses from me. I had none of that. I had no college education. I didn't have a name that they can pronounce. I didn't have money to buy leads. I had a very strong accent. The accent you hear today, which I can't hear it, so I can't fix it, but I still have an accent. I imagine this 13, 18 years ago, how strong my accent was. Like, literally, I learned to speak English when I was 21. So it's not my first language. It's not my second language. It's my third language. So I think everything that could possibly, any excuse I could have possibly found why I can't make it in this industry, I easily could have come up with 10 in 5 seconds.
Sure.
But I'm also the sorest loser you'll ever meet.
I have learned that. Are you? Another thing that you share.
Yeah, go ahead.
Something tells me you hate losing more than you like winning.
Oh, absolutely. I don't lose.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. That's why me and you, we don't get into foot racing.
I'm not winning, but I don't lose.
I love it. So I wanted to, everyone to hear that, because one of the biggest reasons for bringing you on is I want to inspire people to take some action. Yeah. And the reason that you've seen the success, among many reasons, you're talented and you're going to go out and get it, but you weren't afraid to fail. You weren't afraid to go out and ask somebody. You didn't care what they thought of you. Like you said, go up and knock on a door, ask the top producers what's working for them. You had no fear. And the fact you didn't have that fear, I think has catapulted you to building the empires that you have. And I say empires as in multiple empires at this point.
So there's multiple reasons why I didn't care. One, I went to Tony Robbins' UPW, Unleash the Power Within. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's like a deep soul searching. Yep. And so this, for me, it's kind of twofold. I don't care because I always say, as soon as I can deposit your opinion into my bank account, I start caring. So that's when I start caring about your opinion. Okay, number one. But number two, the reason why, and now it's easy to look back, something that was a hardship growing up, it made me who I am today. So my parents never to the day told me that they love me or they're proud of me. So there was no emotional affection. If anything, you heard the negative, screaming loud if you did something wrong, but you never heard anything if you did something right. And I don't know if you know about the love languages, but my love language is I need to hear it. You can't do for me because I can't do anything for myself. I'm a doer. If I want something, I go and do it. So my mom is a doer. She'll do anything for you. So I never felt the love because she does. Okay, my dad is mute. My dad used to be an alcoholic growing up, so the only time he talked is when he was drunk. And that's the kind of talking that you didn't want to do. So because I never got the love and the attention how I needed that with my love language, it almost, well, it hurt me growing up, but at the same time, it taught me to learn to love myself. Because that was the only source of reliable love I could rely on for myself, because I knew I'm not going to get it from my parents. So because in a way that was hard growing up, it made me who I am today. So now I don't need love, because I know if I need it, I can give it to myself. That's the only person I need the love from, is to know that I love me. You know that if you ask people, and do this research on your social media, because it's mind-blowing. Do the research and says, name the 10 people you love. Nobody ever names themselves.
True. So true.
They always say my children, my parents, God, Jesus, all of those things, but they never name themselves.
Yeah. That's so
true. Even on an airplane, they say, put your face mask on first, because you cannot help others. So how are you expecting loving others if you don't even love you?
Yes. Love that. And by the way, if you guys aren't following Gogo on Instagram, there's only about 55,000 people that follow this lady's every move, because let's face it, Gogo, you're fun to watch. You put it all out there. Yeah, and I know this about you. I mean, it's what you're seeing is what you're getting, not these fake Instagram people who they're one way on camera and then their life is completely different. Like, you lay it out, the good, the bad, whatever. Most of it's always good because you're winning, because you don't like losing. But you grew this following to 55,000, which is great. But what I think you've done better is you've become, I've watched you grow from a social media queen to a marketing queen. And there is a difference, I think, because what I've watched you do is, first of all, I can't go on a website and not see one of your videos because it's retargeting me everywhere. And I love it. I literally click and comment. I don't know if you've been noticing, but I'm one of your big.
No, I don't see my own ads. It doesn't follow me.
You don't see your own ads, but I see them. And I'm in there commenting on them and giving you some of the thing. Yeah, because I love seeing you win. I love watching you win. It inspires me. And I want you to inspire others to move forward. So talk to me, if you don't mind. You just won the 2 Comma Award, right? Tell us what is that, for people that don't know, ClickFunnels and whatnot. Tell us what that is. Tell us what it, what it took for you to really start understanding this game as a marketing game first, real estate second, right?
So the madness, this madness, there's so many different aspects of how I make money now happening on a day-to-day basis. But this one, what we're talking about, is Gogo's Bootcamp. So initially, I was just pushing buttons on social media because that was the only source of income, I guess, or lead generation platform for me that I could afford. It's free, and all I need to do is figure it out, and eventually I can make a ton of money with it. So that's how it started. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to be the social media queen one day. It was that was the only thing I had a clue. Then I'm like, I'm just going to push some buttons and see what happens if I push it. So then what happened is I started getting, first, they were making fun of me for the million selfies and the this and that. And nobody really, especially here locally, understood the power of it, or where is that ever going to lead, especially when it comes to real estate sales. And then it flipped. And then a few years later, when they started seeing the numbers and you got the social proof, they're like, hold on a minute, what is this social media thing? Let me learn more. And then instead of like, look at Gogo doing selfies again, they were like, hey, Gogo, how do you do this? And why do you do that? And hey, Gogo, do you have 5 minutes? And so it turned into becoming the expert to other realtors of sharing of like, why do you do this and how do you do this? And then I got to the point where I was repeating myself. I was like, oh my gosh, I just answered that question 50 times. I can't possibly do this. So I ended up videotaping myself with the answers to these social media questions and turning it into a course, which is Gogo's Bootcamp. And then last year, the social media course. And then last year, fast forward, switched to EXP, grew a cute little team here that we call Team Gogo. And then that started getting attention. And then people were asking, how did you do that? So then I videotaped myself again. And now we have a course on that and the agent attraction side of things. And so when you build a website, we did it with the power of ClickFunnels. So when you do it with ClickFunnels, they have a competition. Now, every time, if something's important to me, if it's not important to me, I could care less if I'm on the list or not. But if it's important to me, and there's that dangling carrot, like, if you do this, you're going to get this. Oh, trust me, I'm going to do that. So I'm going to get that.
Yeah.
That's what the 2 Comma Club is ClickFunnels is the site that we built the bootcamp on. And ClickFunnels gives out an award every single year. That's called the 2 Comma Club. That if your site that you build, so the course that you sell, if you do it over 7 digits, you get a 2 Comma Club, hence the 2 commas.
Yes.
It took me a minute to figure out what that actually meant. The blonde or the corn, I'm not sure. And so after I figured out what that is, I was like, I want one of those.
Yeah, right. I remember being at my first ClickFunnels conference and seeing all the people walking up there and getting their 2 awards. Yes, congratulations. So proud of you. It's so cool. So what you're teaching though is important. You're teaching how to attract and not chase business. And,
yes.
and in that particular boot camp, I believe it's about recruiting and agent attraction. That the principles don't change if someone's out there watching this and they're just trying to sell 20, 30, 40, 50 houses.
And that's what I've been saying on the social media side. I've never bought a lead in my life. I've never bought a Zillow lead. I never bought any of those leads. So every transaction, and when I was still full-time in production, I'm no longer full-time in production, but when I was full-time in production, I did anywhere between 40, 50 transactions every year, attracting buyers and sellers. I've never cold called in my life. I never door knocked. I never bought a lead. I never farmed. Like, I never did any of those things that most agents do, which is standard. Then I said, I'm going to figure out my way, because if you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. I don't want to work. I want to get paid for what I love to do. And so that was social media. So I did the same thing on the transaction side. Is I attracted the buyers and sellers. They called me. So then I never had to have a listing presentation walking in there, because I already know I have the job. They called me, hey, Gogo, we're having a baby. Can you help us sell this and buy a bigger one?
So when you do what you're talking about correctly for people listening in, and you're the principles behind it, when you're really got your marketing dialed in, is that you're building trust. So what Gogo, what you had just said is that you already knew before walking in the door that the deal was yours, because you built trust. You built trust with the audience. You do that by putting out really, really great content, attracting people to want to follow you. Then in return, you're giving value back to them through the content that you put out. It has to be relevant. So you're not just putting garbage stuff up like, okay, I'm having, 2 eggs and an omelet today or whatever for breakfast. It's actual things that people want to watch. Real estate happens to be a super big buzzword. They have reality shows everywhere. You essentially have built your own reality show, essentially.
Yeah.
But it's the deposits that you're making. And again, if you're taking some notes here, this is the principle behind what Gogo has done. It's not just about branding Gogo. It's about building trust within an audience. And she's built that trust better than anyone I know. And then in turn, once you build the trust, then you can do business with them. And it's easier. It's effortless. You don't have to worry about the competition, like you said, because they already know you're walking in the door.
The best part of it, I don't have to work with asshole anymore. I used to work with assholes, excuse my French, because it was a $12,000, $14,000, $20,000 commission. And I would look at us and be like, yeah, for 20 grand, I can put up with you for 90 days. Yes, I can.
Right.
Yes, I can. I'll be your best friend for 90 days. But now it's totally different. When you do attraction-based business, now I only work with people who are just like me. They already attracted to me for a reason, is because we have something in common. Now, when we have something in common, we are just like each other. So it's going to be smooth sailing. We're going to literally smooth sail to the closing table. You're going to be like, I can't believe I'm getting paid for this. And then you go and have a drink with them. And then they refer their mom and dad and best friend. And then they call you when they're having a baby.
Love it. So you've literally built multiple multi-million-dollar businesses in a very short period of time, I may add, in real estate, in marketing, the boot camp. And now you guys have a home. You're up in Michigan, but you and your family are about to build, or you're in the midst of building a house down in Florida. I've just loved your family's amazing. Watching you's been great, growing, and I'm excited to be in business with you. Anything else to add?
I mean, you guys are awesome. You know, you always answer the calls. Granted, I don't bother much. I don't, you know, chitty chat and ask how's the weather in Ohio. When I usually text you, I have a question, or I call you, I have a question. You guys always answer. You guys always get back to me. So it's not, you know, it's not one-sided. I mean, when I say I'm that annoying 3-year-old with a million why questions, you know, I'm going to ask those questions. I come back and I'm going to implement. So I think the biggest issue where people go wrong is that they go to these events, they listen to these podcasts, they, you know, they'll put in the time, but they don't put in the energy. So if you're not going to match that knowledge that you just learned, and you're not going to put your work ethic to what you just learned, you're going to stay where you're at. You just wasted everybody's time. So the biggest thing that I say is the biggest reason to my success is that I take action. I don't lollygag. I'd rather find out than, oops, that was a bad idea, versus to be like, I wonder what it would have been like if I just called that person, or if I just, you know, I don't want to wonder. I want to know.
That's great. And you've been able to create the best thing that's better than money, and that's time freedom. And you're living your best life with your family. I'm sure you don't miss games. I mean, that's the priority that you put first, and it's real estate and marketing second. And because of the business that you've built that works harder for you than you do for it, it's been able to give you that lifestyle. So congratulations on all your success. I'm excited. The thing that I love about EXP Best, people ask me all the time, is it the revenue share of the stock? No, it's the ability to have access to rock stars like you. And you're not the only one. You know, we have some really, really amazing just marketers and real estate professionals who are killing it. They're number one in their market. Brokers. I mean,
what would have been the chance for us to be business partners? Like, probably none if it wasn't for EXP. Like, it's like I knew of your guys' existence, but I've never thought about like, oh, one day I want to be business partners with Albie Stasek and Jay Kinder and Michael Reese. Like, never crossed my mind. It was like in the regular industry, besides you sending me a lead in Michigan or me sending you a lead in Ohio, there was really no way for us to work together. Right. And not only work together, but to have each other's interest at heart. Like, that's different, because even when we collaborate, you still competition in a regular real estate market. Not here.
Nope. So if you like this content, please hit the subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. Reach out to Gogo if you have any questions. She's always very attentive. I think you even said you answer every one of the messages that you get. I don't know how you figure out time to do that, but you've been great. Thank you for sharing today. And hit that onebigfire.me for some more information if you're interested on connecting. We'll see you at the top. Thanks, Gogo. Or from the top.